Welcome to the Posthuman Podcast.
So today's guest, we've done a little bit of a pre-show. I'm going to have to put that up there. Today's guest, author Craig Lewis. So again, we've just been kicking off for about 15, maybe 10 minutes with a great convo. Let's keep it flowing before we get into the talk. Again, what we were speaking about, you could listen to it in the pre-show. It's just crime, really, and the differences between the UK. But this is what we was getting into: the difference between the UK and Mexico. And I was talking basically about the recent crime that's going on near me, which there's been quite a few murders. There's been a lot of stabbings. Last year, I think I've already mentioned it on my show, previous episode, there was a car. There was like where I live, you can go down the road. There's like an island, like a roundabout. And I was walking along there, me and my partner, son in a pushchair. And all of a sudden, I mean, we was way out of the way. But we looked back and two cars had a big smash up in the middle of this roundabout. Then one of the cars pulled off and got away. And then like another car come along, and then like three lads with like samurai swords, like fucking full on katanas, like jumped out and was running after this battered car. And it was a moment where even me and her were like, holy fucking shit. Like, because where we was walking was towards the danger and action, but then right behind us was danger and action. And it was like, do we just go into this garden? Where do we go that way? It was a wild scenario.
Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Oh yeah.
But what's with the samurai swords? What's with the swords?
I would imagine they were probably fake and very shit. They were probably not sharp.
But what's with the swords in the first place? That's just weird.
Yeah,
it's not weird considering where you are, because going back 1,000 years, that was normal, but now it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, this was a full on. I mean, there was just three people, but I think one of them just had like a hammer, but two of them, I mean, one of them was just running with this like fucking blade-esque sword. I was like, what the fuck? Like, this dude's nuts. But it's one of them moments where you go, which way do I go? I'm like stuck on this weird sort of intersection.
It reminds me of before I came to Mexico 3 years ago, and when I was still in the United States, my life was collapsing. It's like why we're talking today, like because I wrote some books about this, like radical human powered transformation that I somehow engineered out of thin air, but thin air necessarily, because like in the context of what you're talking about, like what do you do when there's danger on both ends? Well, before I was officially homeless in the United States and I had to find my way, which is how I ultimately ended up here. I knew I was going to lose everything, like quote unquote lose everything, because I'm alive, right? But I knew I was going to lose my stuff and my cat and all my things. And I saw a YouTube video, right, of the comedian Steve Harvey, who does like the show Family Feud. And he's a spiritual guy, and we all have our issues, right? So none of us are perfect. But during an outtake between his show, The Family Feud, he sometimes do these like clips, right? These monologues, he just talks, and then people like we recorded. And he was talking about that sometimes when you think all is lost and there's no way to turn, and like there's danger on all ends. I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but in this context, that sometimes you just have to trust and take a big leap of faith, and that might be the thing that saves your life. I know it's a little bit different. You just have to keep walking through the situation. Still, like that question of like, which way do you go when there's danger on all ends and you don't know how to be safe and how to get your needs met and anything like this? You just have to do it. And that's what I did. I jumped. So you just continued walking, it sounds, because here you are today.
Yeah, we went straight back towards the two smashed up cars. It was that way or towards Machetes and oncoming traffic. So it was, but go on, carry on.
I bought a one-way ticket to Paris, France.
Wow.
With a backpack and I started a new life, and that's what I did.
See, that's something that I've looked into wanting to do myself. I mean, I've got children, but it's strange because as I was growing up, my dad used to go away rock climbing, doing expeditions and shit. And to be honest, it didn't ruin my life or my childhood. You know, whenever I seen him, everything was great. And to be honest, it probably gave everyone a bit of a break in itself. You know, but it's one of them. I've thought about it myself a few times. I've always wanted to go to like the Amazon, to be quite honest, and just just to go out there and just see how things are. And just not sort of test yourself to the limits or whatever, but because that's ridiculous. but you sort of get where I'm coming from.
What do you think Amazon is like?
So
if you were going to go there, like what do you, when you say thinking about you want to go to the Amazon and see what it's like, what do you think? I'm asking you.
Well, the reason why I'd like to go, I mean, there's so much of it that's still unexplored, and there's a lot of stuff that's come into the light with like LiDAR, which is like the laser radar stuff, and they're finding stuff that's been buried under the jungle for like 200 years, and there's a lot of stuff out there, and we're humans. It's what we love to do. We love to explore and go on adventures. I think there's so many people aren't doing that anymore. I mean, all these people that go, hey, I'm going to go to this little I'm going to go to the Great Wall of China and take a selfie. Click, click, click. Great. What an adventure you had. But there's real adventures out there, some legit stuff to be done still. And while people are fucking around with technology and selfies, there's an open position, I believe, or a few.
So let me speak to that reality, my brother. Latin America is in so many ways 20 years behind how like I grew up, probably how you grew up, depending on how old you are.
Yep.
But like for me, it could not be an even threat. Seek peace from my own horrific, life 20 years ago. And I recommend to you and anybody who needs an adventure, just hop on a plane, do some crazy things. Doesn't matter if you speak the language. Walk around, smile, eat food, do whatever. You'll have a great time.
Well, I mean, I've thought about going to the States because I'm a big fan of comedy, and Texas at the minute seems to be where the whole scene is at. And I was like, well, it's going to be fucking tricky getting into the States. And I thought, well, rather than fucking do the Amazon thing, we'll just go through the back door. And I've known people that have gone into Mexico and then done it that way from the UK. And I was like, should I just do that? And I looked into it. It was like, from the airport, it was like a 14-day walk. Well, that's all good. It was like 2 weeks. I'll have a little bit of money. But then I was like thinking about it, and I was like, that could be pretty deadly. It's all well and good thinking about it, but
Listen, I'm going to tell you something that you might find hard to believe, but if you flew to Brazil and you wanted to go to the Amazon, there are buses and planes to take you there. You do not need to walk for 14 days.
No, I mean going to the States, going through Mexico. So obviously going to Mexico and then cutting up to Texas.
Pardon.
Yeah. But obviously from Mexico City Airport up to the border of Texas, I think it's like a 14-day walk or some bullshit like that.
But I just want you to know, this is great. It might be a 14-day walk, but it's only a 20-hour bus ride, maybe, and it's a 3-hour plane flight to an airport inside the Mexican border, and then maybe $15 to get to the border and walk across.
It takes the fun out of it, though, doesn't it?
Just so you know, that's how.
No, I know. I mean, there's loads of easier ways, but there's always a fun side of it. It's always good to test.
You can walk all the way like anyone could, but you might not want to.
No,
that's my personal.
No, I mean personally, it's all well and like I said, it's all well and good in mind. But when you're really in the middle of it and you're like, man, there's nothing around for miles and I've got the fucking water, you're like, oh shit.
But here's where adventure and reality meets. Like in the modern age, with all this stuff we're talking about, is a country like Mexico, you can just go and it's all different. I mean, it's all the same, but you'll notice if you come here, it's all the same, but it's all different. And it's everywhere and constant. So you can just walk and you'll find in any neighborhood, really, you'll find murals and street food and like the craziest things. And it's an ongoing, constant adventure where things just keep happening and it's new. And so that's my life. Yeah, that's my life.
I mean, I've thought, might not be this year, maybe next, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I've thought about it this year, but again, we'll see. So let's actually talk about your books.
Okay.
Again, you have 2 books. You're Crazy, Volume 2. I didn't see a Volume 1 on your website, which was very bizarre.
Oh, there is a Volume 1. I likely sent you the link that just was to Volume 2, but there's also a Volume 1.
I was questioning why I couldn't find it. I was like, huh, is there some
How
sort
interesting
of cheat code? Is it like, hey, there's a volume? Is there a Volume 1? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like the infamous Volume 1.
Well, Volume 1 exists, and it's been existing since 2013. And then Volume 2 didn't come into existence till this past year. Wow. I guess the late 2020. And there's reasons why. And so, and it's funny because here's a perfect segue. The reasons why are what's in the other book we're talking about today as well, which is
Surviving the Impossible?
Guide to Surviving the Impossible.
Already got it.
Yeah, that's why we're here today, to talk about surviving the impossible and because I am, and healing and revolution and choosing to be happy and choosing to live, like truly live, not just be alive, and to be spiritual and be cool, and be cute, because that's what I'm trying to do. All those things. That's what that's what I'm doing. Yeah, with you today, in general.
You're doing it pretty well.
I'm in the midst of a life transformation. I'm well aware of that, you know.
Yep.
And so, hey, when you're living, when you're living your life, and then something happens, right?
Yeah.
And then right. And then you realize, oh, I can't keep doing the same fucked up shit. But like, you're a human being, so you keep doing it.
Yep.
But then it like somehow hurts you so much on the inside that it becomes nearly out of your control. That like you're like, uh-oh, if I keep doing that same shit, like I just can't. Like I want to. Not that I want to, but I will, but I can't. Why can't I? And then you start to realize, oh my God, like something deep inside me is saying, yeah, you've learned your lesson, and I know you keep fucking up because it's what you know a different way to live, but now it's time, Craig. You learned your lesson. Just do it. Just do something different. So that's why I'm doing okay. That's why. But the truth is, it's been a nightmare, and I've done a really good job of being okay, but only with the help of others. And I finally got to the point where I somehow realized that I could create that from within myself. Well, I still need a lot of support, but I can create more of what I want by being what I want. So here we are.
No, I absolutely get that, because I mean, even with my own life, I used to be a warehouse manager. I've got personal disabilities, and but I've always tried to strive and be the best at what I do. You know, I worked in warehouses like from the age of fucking 16 to the point where, you know, when I was 21, you know, I was managing a warehouse, you know, and you just strive and work. And then occasionally, you know, anything can happen and flip you off the chart, you know, anything. And, you know, I've had these ups and downs in my whole life. You know, I've spoke about it on all my previous shows. You know, I've had huge drug addictions. I've also been a workaholic. I've fucked around. You name it, I've been there. But it also gives you like a bigger insight into life and a bunch more experience.
See, yeah.
And during then all these weird transformational periods, sometimes they're bad and sometimes they're good. You know, you can have a really bad moment in your life and not realize it's half transforming you to something better. You know, one of my previous guests who I just had on the show before, she had an accident and then she decided to turn her life around. You know, she had a rough car accident. Not majorly rough, just mild concussions and whatever, but it done some, you know, she's not really going to do major jobs like myself. And then decided to go into writing and podcasting. You know, worked out absolutely perfect. She owns her own business. But again, like I spoke about in the previous episode, that wouldn't, what she said, it would not have happened if she hadn't have had that disaster. You know, sometimes it's very strange sometimes how something bad can always lead to a positive if you apply it. You know, if you have a negative and spiral into a drug addiction and keep going down and down, that's a different call. But, you know, if you have a bad accident and then come out the back end of it and go, okay, I've got my shit together. You know, if that makes sense. Mildly.
Each person has it within themselves as a gift of being born as a human being to regenerate yourself like a lizard that like loses its tail.
Yep.
And then it grows again, because we come from the same place that every living creature does. And we're all just these different combinations of cells. And if it's possible that at some point in time, or let's just say now, we know it's possible that these lizards are, like, for example, whatever insects can regenerate little parts of their bodies, etc., or creatures in the ocean,
yep.
Then who's to say that just because we don't have it documented and that we don't have it, like it's not some big science thing that everyone can do it, just because that's not the reality we live in when people talk like that, doesn't mean that crazy things like that can't happen if you believe that it's possible for them to happen. Now, is that delusional? Well, tell that to the person who survived an incredibly dangerous car accident.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow just says, oh my God, I need to change everything. And then they begin to live a great life. Tell that to the person who survives a serious attempt on their own life, and they escape with like intact, right? And they're okay, and they're like, oh my God, that's it.
Yeah, I can understand.
And then they change. They actually regenerate their new self, and they become a different person. And that means that everything that happened since you were born, it doesn't matter if you. I have to remind myself that this is my own truth as well. It doesn't matter. Just fucking do it. Just do it right now. And every time you make a choice, like no matter you make it 20 times a day because you keep fucking up, doesn't matter. You're not fucking up. You're getting better. Well, that choice is the power.
One of my beliefs as well is if let's say as a hypothetical, you know, you live with someone and they do something every day that pisses you off. Whatever it could be, let's say, I don't know, typical man, wife, whatever scenario, man, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. We're going non-binary, whatever it means. Let's say two people, one person's extremely untidy, yeah? And every single day that one person pisses the other person off. And there's a reaction like when that person goes, okay, today, yes, I'm going to argue back. Every single time, yeah? Like this person keeps fucking up and this person goes, okay, every single time I'm just going to keep going and going and going. With a yes, I'm going to argue. Yeah, you've left this out, let's go. Day 2, you've left it out, let's go, whatever. Well, at some given moment, you're like rephrasing your brain and making it consistently like argumentative. Like to the point where if you're just consistently going, yeah, we're going to do this, yes, 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 on the negative, chances are you're rewiring your brain to consistently do these bullshit patterns where it's always going to be a negative. Whereas if in those moments you go, okay, man, fuck it, I'll just sort it out myself. You've completely rewired it differently. You know, let's say for five times you've gone yes, and then this one time you just go, fuck it, man, I can't be asked to argue today. I'm going to just I'll just sort it myself. Your brain is just going to go, what the fuck happened there? You've just gone completely against the whole narrative of what you've been doing for 5 days, 5 weeks, whatever it could be. Do you get what I mean?
I know what you mean. The person who taught me this concept, well, I'll put it this way. My therapist, going back to the mid-2000s, who's still my therapist today, with a little bit of break in the middle, she would always say to me, you don't unlearn progress. You don't unlearn progress. And I asked her, like, is that your quote? She said, yeah, it's my quote. Like, I say that. It's like, okay. I also have it tattooed in honor because I have to remember that. You don't unlearn progress. And what she meant was, and it's true, she's brilliant. She's brilliant. You can work your ass off 100 times a day and what we could and have a result that we call fail, right?
Yep.
But maybe that 101st time, you somehow succeeded. But then you tried 99 more times and you failed. But you've proven you can do it. And if you can do it one time, that means you can do it again.
Again, yeah, of course.
And so that means if you don't unlearn progress, it means that as long as you try every single day, and every moment you catch yourself and say, fuck, I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. Get angry at yourself, but let that anger transform into progress. Say, well, when am I going to stop? When will I learn? And remember, you will learn to make it better as long as you keep trying and making adjustments in how you do it. You'll succeed. You will succeed.
That's all it is as well. Is like my analogy was dog shit. But that's all it is like minor adjustments that, that change your natural way of thinking. It really does. It's the way I'm putting it is probably rubbish, but it's a fact.
No, you're putting it, if I may, excuse me, just to validate what you're saying. You're putting it in street level terms.
Yeah.
And many people and in your communities also understand. So
see, I never thought about it like that as well. Huh. Yeah. Do you know that's actually a really good point? This is something I've recently thought about. Is because again I look into everything. I deep dive down every rabbit hole about anything and everything I can find. But then sometimes when I always relay the information. It's like I'm a server, a midway server point, and some information comes through to me, comes back out, and whatever. I just regurgitate it. But sometimes it'll come out the exact way, and sometimes it does come out a different way. And you're exactly right; it comes out on a street level. I never thought about it like that. It's a very good point. It's a really good point.
I really have a 9th grade education, and I did go to college 10 years ago, I suppose, and because I could, because I had a diploma, right? But it wasn't real. It was official, but not legitimate. I just went to college to try to prove to myself that I could do it. And it was a stupid experience. Yeah. I graduated with a 3.88 GPA.
That's not bad, though. Still pretty good.
Yeah, the whole process of the institution was so ridiculous that I was so above it. It was so beneath me. I knew that I was like just like uneducated street kid, but adult. Yeah. So that's where I come from. And I was an intellectual person always, but because of what's happened to me, the things that were done to me, the drugging that was forced upon me, I never really matured and adjusted like most people. intellectually and emotionally. So I'm doing it all now in the past 7 years. I know we didn't really get into that story, but when we get into it, we will. Just I'm just saying, like, I'm from the same place. Like I
get it. I mean, I went to school, but I mean, it's when I was in secondary school, I got like my first, I was like 12, I was okay. 13, midway through, I was like, fuck this. I got put in for a bunch of classes that I didn't like. I was terrible at sports. I got double of that a week, which was like 4 hours a week, 8 hours a week, whatever it fucking was. I'm rubbish at it. Why I ain't doing football? I can't even kick a ball. You're joking. It's a waste of my time. There was like I got put in for doubles of everything. Unfortunately, sorry, Dad, but the choices that you gave me didn't exactly help. I had double science, double maths, and double PE for whatever reason. I had geography, history, all that shit. They were the only ones that I was really moderately interested in, But fuck, man, who the hell wants double science when they're fucking, it wasn't an interest when I was younger. But then coming out of school,
Question.
Go on, far away.
Do you like geography now?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's always something that I've always been passionate about, which was, but what I did was I fucked up is because when I went into then like year 8, where I was like 13-ish or whatever, I just didn't want any of it. So I decided to then spend the rest of my what would be high school, secondary school, just not going, because I was like, half of the times it's crap. When I am there, I'm going to learn it anyway, and I know it, which I did. It was all cool. I had high fucking grades for that. But then it come to like the exams, GCSEs, and because I had so much time off, they would only put me through for so many things. They was like, you don't know the curriculum. You've not been here. And I was like, these are the only things that I do know. It's why I didn't turn up. I don't want to do double PE. Even my RE, religious education, I've become way more religious since I was in school. And, it's just...
You went to a religious school?
I mean, it was taught, but it was a joke in itself. It wasn't really... It wasn't good, It wasn't a religious school, but it was on the curriculum, and the teachers that did it were not exactly the best people that were... You could, for moralistic views, you could sometimes look at them and go, wait a minute, what? And even then as a kid, you could see that. But as an adult, you go, wait a minute, what? Like, you can almost put 3 more exclamation points on it.
I'd like to respond by saying that most of my favorite people are high school dropouts, homeless people or formerly homeless people who went to jail, drug addicts.
Yeah, they're all the best.
Who have tattoos on your face. They have
character. That's what it is, character.
This is my kind of people. So.
Yeah. But I mean, even then, I went out of high school, went into do college, and the only thing that they would let me do was media studies. Well, later on in life, that would be great if I'd have finished it. If I'd have realised at the age of 17, 12 years later, I would do podcasting, and it would be super helpful. I would have finished that course, but I didn't do that. I just sold pills and drunk a bunch of vodka every day.
And I think that's probably why this is called the Post-Human Podcast.
Well, I could add that to the table. The other reason is because I think that we're all going to die, and all that's going to survive is maybe my hard drives in the ground.
Right.
So
only
I'm just
your hard drive. So the future races of beings.
Yeah, they're going to get this.
Learn all about our extinguished society via your hard drives.
Oh yeah, that's it.
About the future. You want the future to be better. Thank you. Yeah. Cheers.
Congratulations, aliens. This is what we have.
Listen, somebody has to take the responsibility to make sure that things are going to be okay in the future.
Oh yeah, someone's got to do it.
I'm going to sit back now and relax a little more because
I've got it all in hand. That's all it is. I've got it all in hand. No one thought about it. I did. And hey, I've got it, folks. Don't worry. It's all on me. Elon's going to Mars, and I'm here burying hard drives around the planet like gold.
Hey, can I read something to you?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let me find a good one for you. Pardon me. So, the reason why we're talking here today, the reason why we're having this discussion, is because human beings are not supposed to be abused, especially when they are like vulnerable, and they're deserving of respect, like all children, like all people, right? So what happens when people are harmed and they don't get the help that they deserve? They don't get the protection that all people are worthy of. And what happens when you attempt to heal from that? When a person attempts to heal, and that becomes a problem for other people.
Yep.
Why would I have to say that statement? Like, what the fuck does that mean? In the terms of mental health, in the terms of healing from trauma, I have to heal from things that were done to me. And that's a problem for other people. What happens if those people are people who really will have a problem if your story is legitimized? Well, for me, I had to get away from the United States to be able to be free to do what I'm doing now. And it's hard. And I've had to begin a new life because no one was going to help me if I didn't help myself. And because I began to help myself, others began to help me.
That's the insight. It's good, man.
See, I realized that my reflection, how people treated me, was a reflection back to me. And so the only real way to manage like my relationships in the world, no matter where I live, no matter what language I spoke, no matter what has ever happened, is to have my reflection toward others. Let me rephrase that. How I am seen by others be how they view me or reflect back to me. And if they're reflecting back to me love and kindness and beauty, that means I'm doing a good job. If they reflect back to me like not things I don't like, that usually means I'm not doing a good job. I need to get better. But sometimes people will see something that intimidates them, so then they'll get angry at you. And so that's how it's a whole process of how to live and how to learn how to live. And I wrote this book, The Craig Lewis Guide to Surviving the Impossible, as I attempted to figure out how to become a new person in defiance of my past, in defiance of everything that's ever happened to me, in defiance of all my reactions and responses to how, which, as you all know, we always tend to blame the person for their actions, but we don't seem to put any sort of responsibility on all those who harm them. And then when they respond, they're the problem. And so, as you can appreciate, a lot of people don't want this story to be told. So I told it.
But that's the best way as well, is to do so.
I named this book after myself, like a crazy person, because I figured
it's the best way.
Either this is the worst idea possible,
or the best.
Like 90% bad. Like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? How dare he?
Before you start, I was going to name my show The Tim Turner Show, and I was like, do I really want to do that? You know, can I? It's bold. I'm still thinking about it to the day. So, but go on, carry on, sir.
Yeah, so I said, it's 90% a bad idea. But, like, my therapist always says the same thing to me. She always says, I say, I'm going to do this. She goes, well, you know, maybe that's not the best idea. I say, you know me well enough that I always do whatever I think I should do. And I'm not going to listen to you or anybody if I think it's the right thing to do. I said, and she says, well, as long as you're prepared for the consequences. I was like, you know me well enough. I've been talking to you for like, I don't know, 15 years. I'm doing better now than ever. And I always do what I think I should do. And if it's wrong, then it's not really wrong because look at me, I'm here right now. So it's actually not wrong. It's not bad. It's good. She goes, okay. So yeah, I always do whatever I think is right. And if I fuck up, so what?
Yeah, but that's all it is, you know. And if you fuck up, you can hold yourself accountable. If somebody else fucks up, that's on them. But if you do it to yourself, well, that's on you, you know.
Right. So, forgive me, I went on a little tangent there about
it's okay.
What the title and why? What kind of crazy title is this? It's the crazy title of a book written by a guy who knows he has lots of haters.
I like the artwork as well, by the way. The artwork's amazing.
I'll tell you the story about the artwork in a second, please. It's a great story. But I figured I have lots of haters, and like, hello to everyone out there. I know.
Oh, me too.
I thought, why not make it easy for everybody? So, like, oh, that fucking guy, I hate him. I hate him.
I have minimal
subscribers. So, like, we're gonna share snippets, like I do on podcasts. But if you want the whole story, you know what I'm serious.
Well, let me do what I'll tell you what we'll do.
Yeah,
because this is really cool. And normally, what I'll do is for long shows, every 45 I'll take a little break. Because I go long form, and because I'm not in my studio, I have to have an occasional smoke. You said you was a pothead. Listen, sir, if I was in my studio, there is not a single moment where I do not smoke. Believe me, if I was thinking about setting up in there today, but my roof is leaky. It's been sunny today, but I was like, do I risk it? Do I? Don't I? I wished I did risk it now because I would have put an umbrella over my head.
Well, I just want to share one thing before we take the break.
Yeah, that's cool. Go right ahead.
I was prescribed cannabis by a licensed doctor in 2017 after I stopped taking psychiatric medication after taking psychiatric drugs for 28 years for a condition that I was diagnosed with that I never had. And so in 2015, I was taking all those pills, and I really had some issues with my cognition, and I was dealing with some really serious brain functioning issues because that's what happens when all those chemicals leave your body, especially when you never need it. Or no,
I hear that.
But I never needed them. So thank the heavens that I was a licensed doctor who, in the states that I lived in at the time, Massachusetts, deemed me an appropriate candidate to receive a prescription for cannabis. And the moment I started using cannabis as a medicinal, including not just CBD, but also the psychoactive, my life began to get better, and I've healed ever since. So just for all the people out there who may not understand when I say I'm a pothead,
it works.
I am, because the first doctors who I had for 28 years gave me pills that made me sick. And then that doctor in 2017 prescribed me cannabis to help me heal from what those doctors did. And so respect, do what you need to do.
I can hear that. I mean, I'd imagine that after all those years as well, they would have gone from pills. Because again, I've been on pills, man. I've got borderline personality disorder, a couple of other things. But the pills that they give you make you fucking nuts. And I don't need that. If there's legal bud, all I need to do is smoke some CBD. I'm cool. I'm good. But that's all it is. But it's so expensive in the UK. And it's, you know, we need to get prescribing it to me. For those UK doctors out there, give me some free weed. Or send me some CBD gummies from someone in the States who's listening. I'll take it from 48.
Hey, I'm wearing my crown, just so you know.
That's fucking badass, that crown. So let's get back to the reading, man. Let's again, we took a mild intermission there. For myself, people, I've done 2 shows today. I needed to have a little smoke. So let's read the story. Let's have a little listen. That crown's sick as well.
It's crown. I'm obsessed with it. A guy I know sells them on the street, and he made it special for me because my head is huge, so it had to be made special. I'm serious, a special size, and yeah, this is called A Poem of Forgiveness and Healing for and about my mama. Dear Mama, I forgive you for your obsession in harming your child. I forgive you because I know you are a trauma survivor yourself. I forgive you because I know your mother abused you. I forgive you because you were blamed for your reactions to how you were treated. I forgive you for being so hurt and damaged that you did not learn how to love. I forgive you for turning that damage on your firstborn son. I forgive you for being scared that your son was brilliant, creative, smart, and loving, and that he innocently exposed what was happening behind closed doors. I forgive you for threatening a psychiatrist with a lawsuit if he didn't give me a diagnosis of schizophrenia and drug me. I forgive you because you did this to protect yourself. I forgive you for contributing to me being sexually abused. I forgive you because I remember every humiliating detail. I forgive you because I know that deep down inside, you are tortured by things that happened to you before you gave birth to me. I forgive you for going out of your way to convince anyone and everyone that I was a problem. I forgive you for being incredibly successful at that because it caused so much more damage than any child should be subjected to. I forgive you for threatening our family members into abandoning me to protect your fragile reality. I forgive you for your personal involvement in interfering with my relationships with women. I forgive you for abandoning me in 2017 when I trusted you for the last time. I forgive you for threatening me with an ultimatum that if I didn't stop talking about what happened to me as a child in your home, that I would no longer have a family. I forgive you for seeing that threat through and making it a reality. I forgive you because I refuse to allow what happened to you to continue to harm me. I forgive you because the cycle of abuse ends here and now with me. I forgive you because you cannot forgive yourself. I forgive you because you turned down my offer of unconditional reconciliation and public forgiveness simply so I can know what it felt like to have a mother and be loved. I forgive you because all I wanted was to have my mother tell the world that I was a good, smart, dignified, and honorable man, and you weren't capable of doing this. I forgive you because you'll be gone soon. I forgive myself because I'm not sure when that happens, if my tears will be of sadness or of relief. For anyone reading this or listening right now, I ask you to please not allow my mother's abusiveness to be in vain. Sometimes we need to be destroyed to be properly built. My mother nearly destroyed me, and here I am. I share with the world the power of my love, the power of my joy, the power of my gratitude, the power of my forgiveness, and the power of my honor. I chose to be happy as an act of defiance and love. I'm the author of my life, and you're the author of your life. Believe in miracles because the words you just read are written by one, and the words you just heard were spoken by one.
That was very, very powerful, man. Extremely powerful. Very brave and courageous also. I mean, every single sentence was powerful, and it also had more meaning than anyone could ever probably put into it. Like every word that you put into that, I know that you meant. Every single sentence from the start to the finish, I know was not only your story, but something that you truly meant, and the fact that you are genuinely are forgiving, you know? And I don't know if commend is the right word, but I have a lot of respect for that poem. That takes a lot of courage to do so, and also a lot of love to do so in a way. Hello? You break it up a second there, pal. Hello? Let's break it up a bit.
I know. 1 second, please.
That's okay. I can edit it. 54.
Yeah, there was a power outage. Just we're still here.
It's all right. I got it. I'm good at editing, but no, it's very courageous. It's brave, and it takes a lot of empathy to be able to do that. Also, you know,
empathy is what you develop within you when you've experienced things that are harmful or worse, and you survive and you choose to be a better person as a result, because you matter. And then you can see in others what you see in yourself, and you can provide for them some degree of peace or understanding or compassion or love without expectation or support without condition, simply because it helps you feel better. It helps you heal to just have someone else know that they're heard and that their truth is respected and that you're in support of them. So that's empathy, and thank you.
No, I mean, it is a very beautiful poem. You know, that is the first time a poem has been delivered on my show, and it was again. It was sometimes I try to put bigger words into stuff. Again, like you said earlier, I try and put stuff to street level, but it is very empathetic, and it's, you know, just using the word emotional isn't really enough. You know, there is a greater word than that, but I can't express it myself. You know, that's what it is.
Thank you. I can explain right now something about this that you're also saying. So in context, right? Everyone who knows me, so if you know me, you know this, right? If you know me well enough, or you just know me a little bit and decide, I don't want to know this guy anymore. Here's the reason why. Because of the things that are inside that happened to me like a long time ago, and me trying to heal from them. I'm doing a really good job. Like, I'm doing a good job. It's hard though, really hard. But there's certain things that affect me that then like I just go haywire. And I know I do. It sucks. Believe me. I'm talking to you, I'm talking to everybody. It sucks because I'm aware that something's going haywire. I'm trying my best to like manage it, but it's because of like bad things that were done to me when I was younger. Like I'm trying to heal from that. I'm trying to heal from it. So the power of like reading this like I just did it, and like how Tim is like relating and feeling the emotion and feel the empathy, like he can relate with the feelings. They can recognize the power of what's being shared, the healing power of it. It's my taking back and me showing you also, the person, you, that you can take back all this stuff that was taken from you, that all the harm that was done to you by owning it and turning it into power. And so a lot of people know that when I get set off, I kind of sometimes go crazy.
Say that again,
crazy. A lot of people know that when I get triggered or something, sometimes I go crazy. Yeah, you got me?
Yep, got you.
All right. And so then I look like a crazy person, but really I'm just set off by something that has to do with like really fucked up abuse that I survived. So I'm trying to handle that shit, right?
Well, that essentially is PTSD, but it's just in an emotional format rather than, you know, not that you're getting set off by people chucking grenades, but there's a different level. You know, it's another one of my own personal things. I got screwed over so many times when I was younger, as a young child, growing up, a young teenager, an elder teenager, elderly, you know, young adulthood. And, you know, it's still fucking dealing with shit now, you know, and for a lot of men, and it's a weird statistic, we tend to bottle shit down and it never really comes out until fucking way down the line because we're always busy as well. You know, that's the other thing. We live our lives grafting and working and dealing with everybody else's problems that we shove our own down. And then by the time it comes to deal with our own, you know, we're in a completely different state of mind. And it's like, you know, I'm not saying there's like a huge gap where you just forget about things and there's never any shit to deal with in the meantime. But, you know, we never really get to come to grips with our problems for so many years as men. Like, it's nothing sexist, it's nothing against women, but as men, it takes us a hell of a long time to realistically, you know, to evaluate stuff and to go, right, this is fucking how it was, this is how we're going to deal with it. And, you know, it's tricky. It's just the way it is, evolutionary in a way.
It's conditioning.
It is conditioning. That's the right word I was trying to look for. It's conditioning.
It's conditioning. It's not so much about gender as it is. It's not so much about like gender identity as it is about gender conditioning. Yeah, you're right. We tend to not seek out help.
It's because we've had a bunch of fathers that were all a bunch of pieces of shit. Most, you know, I'll imagine it now. If you're a 30 to 20, maybe 25, maybe 25 to 25 onwards, 28 onwards, maybe. You know, you probably had a really shit upbringing, and up until they brought in laws in the UK where your parents couldn't kick the shit out of you, you know, retrospectively, some of them did, some didn't. Some kids just got a little slap round the back of the head or whatever, but some people, you know, really got some fucking hellacious beatings, and I know that, you know, but up until there was a law brought in, that's where the line stopped. And it's why there's certain generations that can go, hey, we fucking get different levels of things. We like, you don't have a clue. Like, I'm never going to bring my son up with the way I was brought up. And I guarantee that he'll bring his son up different. But, you know, if you go back history to my dad, to his dad, and then his dad, man, that was terror.
Brother, terror. Are you saying that, just so I understand you clearly, that in your region where you live, that the laws permitted parents to really like beat their kids badly?
No, they stopped it. There was a law introduced several years ago because.
Yeah, but before the law,
before the law, there was parents and children. Man, in the UK, honestly, it was just Wild West. If you know, I had friends, you know, myself. Man, I'd never speak out of line to my old man. You fucking joking? No chance. You got to be kidding me. And you know, all of my friends were the same. 2 years above, 2 below, all the same. You could, I mean, fucking all of them above. You know, maybe a couple down years below, but you know, that is what it was in most of the UK. Not for all families, but if you was from like a council house estate, for real, man. You know, so it was. You just didn't speak back to your parents. There was none of that shit. Total respect for your elders. To the point, you know, my friends, when they come round my house, even as kids, they'd be like, "Hey, Mrs. Turner," you know, my mum, you know, some of my friends, "How are you?" Blah, blah, blah. And that was my fucking friends. And they was like 12, 13 coming around my house. And, you know, I'd go around their house. Hey, and you'd always, you know, talk to the parents, call them by their last name. All that shit, you know what I mean? There was like a weird different level of respect for your elders. Man, that ain't around today. You know, it's a weird sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's...
Well, I'm just glad that people aren't beating their kids.
No, I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm just saying that over these weird, like, changes of society and time.
Well, I'm understanding you. I just...
Yeah. I'm not a fan. Oh, God, no. I'm never going to ever hit my child. I've mildly joked about it on my podcast. I'm like, man, I could kill that motherfucker. I could have killed him today. I set up 3 train tracks. He destroyed them all. Son of a bitch.
The reason why I say it is because, like, we're white people. We're supposed to be civilized in the United States, and then
yeah.
Like, you know, I'm just like, we can. It's easy to criticize everyone else around the world who looks different, and, you know, whatever. But we're the fucking same, dude. Who are we to judge anybody? You know what I'm saying?
It's myth in history. Even like the 1900s, like in the UK, we could even late, probably mid 1900s, we wouldn't even believe that there were advanced civilizations out there. Like no, we were white. We built all this stuff. There's nothing out there that turns out it's all wrong. Again, you know, there's a film about it, The Lost City of Z. You ever seen that? It's about a corporal, Percy Fawcett, I believe his name was. And he was basically looking for, like, not El Dorado, but he was, you know, going out and looking for essentially a lost civilization. He went out to the Amazon, found, like, pottery and bits of stuff, and it was like, oh. You know, we used to think that primitive man were you know, inferior. Again, people, there's a really good scene in it where they're in, like, the House of fucking Lords or whatever it is, and it's so ridiculous. It's like, there are advanced civilizations out there, and there's, like, hundreds of people going, rabble, like, you're full of shit, you know, all this crap. And it's like, that's how people were back in the day. They were just so fucking naive. And then and that's the thing with progress as well. You know, we're like 100 years later, and it turns out that everything that people believed back then were true. All of it, without a doubt, tenfold, you know, and shit, how long's that been going on for? You know, this is why I think everyone should have a more open consciousness and a more expanded mind. And not just believe everything that was taught to you in school. Because everything that I even learnt in school when I was there turned out to be bullshit years down the line. Especially with Egyptology. That was all way wrong. Like, so many things, even with history. It's bullshit.
Well, you just nailed it on the head. That's the society we live in. And if you deviate from that training, then you're going to be viewed as different.
But it's essential because, again, you know, it's like we learn stuff in school and then we do college and then we're chucked into a profession. And it's like, then all we look into is maybe what our profession is. Let's say, come out of school, I want to be a lawyer. Well, all I'll ever learn about is law. I might know about old law. I might go as far back as, I don't know, the 1800s. Maybe. I don't know. If best. You know, if I really want to be proficient in my skills, in my craft. But very few people do that. You know, and you can apply that to anything. You know, you come out of school, you do this little profession, and then you go into one field, and that's it. That's your job. You learn nothing else apart from that. Whereas this is where you say, you know, you get on with people like myself. It's because we look outside the box, you know. Rather than creating a box, we draw something much bigger that doesn't just have 4 sides.
Right. And sometimes you just have to get rid of the box altogether.
Yeah. So obviously, let's get back into the books because we're going crazy tonight. I love this
right now. I have 20 minutes, and then I gotta go meet a friend for lunch. And
that's okay. I'm sorry we had to do that little mild interval.
I'm glad. I'm happy. All right, listen. Let me find one to talk with you about right now. We can do
no, I'll say that I know we're going to have to do many more shows because these are really good. I know we've got multiple subjects we could talk about. So probably tons.
I am trying to. You know what? All right, cool. So in this book, this new book, the Craig Lewis Guide to Survive the Impossible, it has several poems and then some other pieces of writing, and then 15 passages and worksheets, meaning worksheets like with 3 questions each, and then passages where I'm sharing about stuff, about my experience and what I've learned, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I've written it in my own way. So just bear with me here. This is really the crux of the book, and it's really how I healed myself. And so it's my gift to the world, especially if they buy copies. It's the gift to me too, and more. Yeah, so here we go. This is a passage called "A Problem is a Solution in the Making." If I sound like I'm a broken record, it's because I sound like I'm a broken record. One thing that not everyone reading this or listening to this may be informed of is that music back in my day was listened to on a record player. To use the phrase, quote, like a broken record, quote, is speaking in an idiom. That's why it's so important that we consider the magnitude of the weight and power that our words carry. So what does this have to do with the title of this passage? When I say a problem is a solution in the making, do you see how easy it is to change everything with one single thought? This is your job. You are your job. You can either make your life better or make it not better. It doesn't matter if you messed up 18 times today and it's only 4:17 p.m. because 19's a charm.
I like that. See, I think, and I'd like to, you ever thought about doing audio versions of your poems?
I need assistance with some things. That's the answer.
Yeah. No, I mean, even then, it's something that because some of it's so powerful, and someone I listen to, I listen to a lot of motivational, powerful speakers. I'm a big fan of listening to stuff like that. But one artist I really love, and what he basically does is he takes motivational speakers, cuts their words down, or takes like a speech and then puts music to it, and it is fantastic. I'm a big fan. It's called, well, the genre of music is called meaning wave. Obviously, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. The artist is called Akira the Don. I'm a big fan. And it's something that I could truly see yourself doing, because some of the stuff that you know, with the poems, it's very powerful. Because again, I used to do mild bits of music, but there's a lot of sway to the poem, and the way it sways and the way that you talk it, it's timed well, it's spoken well. I believe that you could probably do something like that yourself. Like, honestly, I truly couldn't. Son of a bitch, got my funny bone.
You know what's funny is that this book is also available in Spanish, and I live in Mexico, and everyone speaks Spanish, mostly. Not everyone, that's not true. Do you know there's hundreds of thousands of people in Mexico that don't speak Spanish?
Really?
But are from here. Yeah, hundreds of thousands of people.
What do they just do? Speak like American, like
They
USA
speak
English?
their indigenous languages going back hundreds of years.
Oh,
Yeah.
you see, I'm a. This is something else I always like. I'm a big fan of history, and like the Mayans, the Aztecs. I'm a huge fan of like all of that stuff, like Indo Americans. Like, it's a big fan.
If I go onto my terrace and I look directly up, there's a Aztec pyramid at the top of the mountain that's been there for over 500 years. Wow. And I can see side. And so later on, I'll take you on a little video tour.
That's fucking wild, man. That's
my
crazy.
Backyard.
We'll do it on your phone. Do it on your phone, and send it me, and then I'll clip it into this chat. I'll leave like a little piece because that's cool as fuck, man. I love stuff like that. I do urban exploring as well. Like I love just going into caves and under the sewers and like I haven't done it for a while, but
I live in a place that facilitates that, and specifically this town, but also Mexico in general. It's a place that you can just do that endlessly. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I really would. I mean, it's one of those as well. It's given moments, there's so much history there that people don't really. It's like Mexico City. That was built on top of fucking one of the greatest empires in the world, but it was just so. Again, if it weren't for the fucking conquistadors, the sons of bitches pricks, you know, there'd be so much more history available, and it's the way it is. I'm afraid.
The history is alive here.
Oh yeah.
Mexico City was built on a lake.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. It's the whole thing's crazy.
Oh no! Yeah, no. I get you. Yeah, no. You are. Yeah, I'm now following. Now you're right. No, yeah.
Yeah,
I get you.
The whole thing. Maybe.
But there was a big battle there. It was there like hundreds of years ago, and then they there's like all the bodies are meant to be like tens of thousands of bodies at the bottom of that fucking lake that was just essentially built over. Yeah. I watched a documentary on YouTube that's a very cool fucking. It's like a rise and fall of civilizations, and they went into it. But no, you're absolutely right. I need to watch that again just to refresh my fucking brain. I've been watching too much shit since then. That's the problem.
All you can do is live in the moment. So
no, it's true. It is very, very true. It is true.
Whatever happened 5 minutes ago is irrelevant because all that matters is right now. Serious.
No, it is true. I love your little. Before we wrap up, man, I do love the little backdrop. You've got some like cool fucking posters and shit in the background. I've been slowly looking at them every once in a blue moon.
This is from the speaking event I gave in Bulgaria.
Oh, sick.
This is from a thing I did in Guatemala.
Oh, so they're all sick. Okay.
I moved to Mexico with nothing, so I have to create my own art. Like I'm creating.
Yeah, I've got you.
So this is from an event I had in Honduras, and then this is from that one's from Belgium, the Dutch part of Belgium. That's from Costa Rica. This is from Bologna. That's from Tijuana. This is from Prague.
Motherfucker's putting some miles on his clock, man. Jeez. Yeah,
that's from Czech Republic. No. That's from Zagreb, Croatia. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's some miles. I mean, I've been to a few places, but wow. That's probably again why you've also got a bigger intellect and stuff as well, because there's a huge cultural swing where you've been in these places and you go, oh, okay, we're not just all these same people from this same little town. Like the whole world's not like that. Like, Some people believe that.
People believe that, and the United States, my people, the place I come from, made a mistake, and it's caught up to them. And I just, I'm fortunate that I was punished for being an open-minded free thinker who could see through bullshit a long time ago, and that they tried to shut up a kid from being beautiful because he knew all these things and he just didn't know how he knew it. So now they're going to jail. Hopefully it'll be okay, but I'm okay. I'm here. I grew up there. I feel to do defiance of every bit of indoctrination I'm sure I'm still affected by in different ways because I can't help it. But yeah, they were wrong. They created a society that ultimately imploded, and I just happened to.
Really did. Do you know what's crazy? Like with the States, is they're trying to take everything back to the 80s. Like lately, every TV, film series, everything's like, hey, we're going back to the 80s. Even music, you can watch any film and it's an 80s track, and you're like, hey, what's going on here? Why don't you just use something more recent? Why has the last 5 years worth of films consistently been revolved around the 80s? Stranger Things, for example, set in the 80s. That was a catalyst, I think. But this something I've only just thought about. I'm like, why is everything set around that time? Crazy. I don't know. Either way, this has been very, very fun. I know you've got a lunch meeting to get to, so I don't want to take a
meeting. I have to ask you a question.
Oh, far away.
Because I want to just take 3 minutes with you and talk about these questions.
No, absolutely. Let's go. 100%. I love this.
I'll make it in time because it's 2:34 right now, which in your time is 14:34.
That's correct.
Yeah. And
it's 25 to 9 p.m.
Pardon. Yeah, but my time is 2:34 p.m. In the afternoon. But if I was saying 2:34 p.m., if I was in the UK, I would say 14:34.
Oh yeah. I occasionally do military hours. I do that rather than 12 over 12. I'm like, it's like 12 a.m., 12 p.m. But when I'm talking to Americans, I have to go and do that. Otherwise, I'm like, it's 1300, 1500, 17, whatever, you know?
In Mexico, there's a casual communication is like American style time, but more official communication is military time. It's really weird.
We have a 24-hour clock. We don't cut. We're not pussies. We don't cut off at 12 and repeat it again. We're not pussies, okay? We do the 24-hour thing. Fuck you, America, with your bullshit 12 on
12. Here, well, United States, Liberia, North Korea, and maybe one other country, perhaps, use the imperial system, and everyone else uses
metric. Yeah, go on, carry on.
All right. Because the author of this guide, me, is a punk rocker and a music lover, making reference to vinyl records, what is the wildest and or most impactful or life-changing song or band or album for you in your life?
Ooh. That is, again, I'm a big punk fan. This is tricky. I love this question.
The answer that you give in a moment.
Bear with me. I will give a legitimate answer. The answer I'll give as a band, I'll do two. Because I'm a big fan of punk. Horror punk is I'll do the Misfits as one of my favorite bands, but old school Misfits, and then the mild Michael Graves moment. It was Glenn Danzig, the original fucking singer. But that's been one of the truly inspirational. Just because I grow up on it, it spurned me off onto many other different bands. But that's from a punk perspective. But I will say from a band perspective, I will say Infected Mushroom. They're a psytrance band out of Tel Aviv, Israel. They are fantastic.
All right.
The reason why they sort of, I can listen to any of their songs. Some of their songs don't even have words. They do a lot of vocoding. I used to do a bit of music myself. I can do a mild bit of drumming, very mild. But most of my stuff I could do is like all fucking keys and synth and bullshit. But that's when I started listening to Infected Mushroom, it opened my eyes up in terms of sort of like who I was as well, because I used to listen to a lot of other music, and then I sort of listened to them, and then it branched off in a weird way. And I've always stuck by them. I've seen them live a couple of times. It's been amazing. I can always go. It's an always good go-to for me.
Thank you for that awesome answer, dude. Like that's exactly what that's like, because that's what matters. Like we can talk about all the problems and all the things that are wrong, but like what's right?
I can name a few more, but you know, it's just even then, like I said, Akira the Don. That's a later one because of I can listen to the songs and it's like, hey, I'm not listening to music. I'm listening to someone talk for 3.50 seconds. You know, and I'm like, hey, I'm taking something away from this, and it's catchy and it sticks. You know what I mean? There's a few.
I love your answer.
Thank you.
And it's so valuable because you know that in defiance of everything in the world, everything that's ever happened to you, all the hardships, whatever, you still know that power. So that's why that question's there.
The reason I put the Misfits as well is I've listened to them now for 21 years. So that was my reason. It was the first. Even though they've got no new music, I will always die hard.
All right. So I want let's end in 2 minutes. Okay. Let me just say one thing about the Misfits. I like some of the Michael Graves stuff, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And thank you for reminding me of that, because when I go for my walk to go meet my friend for lunch, I'm gonna listen to that on my phone. Yeah.
Have you ever heard his solo stuff? His solo stuff's amazing. Gotham Road.
So once in my time back in the United States, but I didn't really know who he was properly. But then after that, I found the Misfits albums with him singing, and one of them I listened to constantly. So I'm gonna do that again starting today. For sure.
Look at his band, Gotham Road.
Right.
Gotham Road is amazing.
I will check it.
Is Shoestring is a good song. Drain is a sick song. There's also, in fact, if you love horror punk, Calabrese.
Okay.
Amazing band they're from Stateside. I've met them motherfuckers. And also they're a German horror punk band. Very good. I'll put them.
All right. I will check those out.
Yeah, hey, that's some of my favorites. The next question. Go on.
No, actually, I think we should just take it. I think we should just do this now and say goodbye. I think we're good to go. I think.
Okay.
No, sometimes because the questions they are a certain way, but we already got the best. You already gave the best possible answer. We just gotta rock and roll with that. That's good job.
Yeah, that's all good, man. Well, listen, if you ever want to come back on the show again, or if you ever start up a podcast and want to get me on, or listen, you know, me casa su casa, blah blah blah. You know, we can go back and forth. I don't give a shit. It's what I do.
I'm happy to.
Where can people find you? In fact, one more thing before you finish: the artwork on the book.
See,
we never got to that.
All right, great. So a few years ago, when I was beginning to travel all around the world, or all around Europe, giving presentations and workshops like these. I was in contact with somebody in the Netherlands, but we never met. We never had an event. And then a couple years later, I was at a squat in Milan, Italy, and I woke up and I went outside when the sun rose, and there was a woman sleeping on a lawn chair, and she woke up and we started talking, and we realized that she was the woman that I had talked to about setting up the event in the Netherlands. And so then we hung out, and then her band had a performance that night, and then we all slept in the same room, and then she became a really good friend of mine. And then we traveled around Italy for 4 days together in a van, and then we said goodbye. And then I went back to Belgium a couple years ago, and I stayed at her wagon village at the top of a mountain in Liège, Belgium, and we had an event there. And then I've not seen her since, but she drew the artwork, and she's awesome, and that's what's up.
Well, shout out to her, man. Well, listen, this has been an extremely fun show. I think the next time I do it, I'll hopefully be in a more appropriate studio for myself and the show.
That's all good.
But listen, this has been very, very fun. I absolutely love speaking to you again. You know, where can people follow you and find you?
They can find me, and this is the other book, which is called You're Crazy Volume 2.
Oh, is that the cover? Oh, wow.
First-hand accounts of surviving trauma, addiction, and mental health from within the punk scene. And there's some English writers and people from around the world. The artwork was done by a man named Frank, who's in the state of New York. He's looking for work. Yep, okay. And the website where you can find all these things is Sanity is a full-time job. As you see it, backwards. But Sanity is a full-time job.org/collections. That's how you can find everything and find all these books and everything else. Sanity.
I mean, I always put the links in the right, but it's always good to just hear it anyway.
Yeah.
But listen, I think at some point we're going to have to talk about punk music and a lot of music, because again, you know, you're a punk rocker, and believe me, I've got a lot to talk about the punk scene. I've spoke about it a little bit, but I think there's a way more stuff to come out. Well, listen, man, Craig, this has been a fucking wonder and a pleasure. This has been the Posthuman Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Turner. I don't even mention my own name at the fucking start of the show. I always mention it at the end, which is the most crucial time, you know. This has been the Posthuman Podcast. We've been here today with Craig Lewis. And catch you next time, people. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.